Well, black people are Native Americans. We've had a lot of proof that you know some of us started here in this land. We wasn't Everybody wasn't brought over from Africa.
What are they doing here? They're Indians.
This is one of my many unsuccessful experiments. You see, with Indians, there's absolutely nothing to be done. There's the same difference between a Negro and an Indian as there is between a dog and a coyote. You can put a dog on a leash, beat him, and he'll always be there to lick your feet. Take away a coyote's liberty, and you've cut off his heir. An Indian will never be a slave. No one has ever been able to make them reproduce in captivity. They do not eat, they do not talk, they do not sleep, they do not make love.
There are several things that are significant about it. Of course, one of them is the way that colonialism tries to develop all kinds of elaborate classification terms for different kinds of people, but that's another subject. The most significant thing here is to reveal the much greater amounts of Native American ancestry that are present within the African American population than most people realize, because they might have been misled by the use of terms like mulatto and also people of color.
After the African, LeVar Burton, had been told that his name was to be Toby, and he refused it, and he was beaten to make him say his name was Toby.
That was the dramatization. How much of that actually was recounted to you? I mean, was there a lot of interweaving?
A lot of it, I thought maybe you were going to ask, and maybe you are in another way, is how much of the book is fact and how much is fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction. Well, a whole lot of it's fiction.
Now, this is just a tiny bit of information now.
But they take it as huge.
Right, because it's cracking open the door.
There's a place in Africa you could say that I'm from. A tribe? I am thrilled. It puts a name, a place, a location, a people.
Hank Greeley is concerned that the science isn't really there yet for you to be giving them the name of a tribe.
I think for most companies, I would be concerned too.
But what about your own company?
We have
he
the
didn't
largest...
exclude you. He included you.
But we have the largest set of sequences from Africa. And so with that, we're able to provide some level of probability in terms of frequency.
But he would say that even though you have the largest database, it's still small on the scope of things.
As I said, I share those concerns. We don't oversell. I mean, we just say, look, we provide a service. If you're interested in exploring a tiny bit of your DNA and trace its ancestry, we can do that.
When you say it's a tiny little amount,
it's less than 0.1%. Less than 0.1%. Less than 0.1%.
And that's pretty teeny.
Yeah, but for people who know nothing about any of them, I think it's very important.
You do not know a goddamn thing about Africa. I am from Detroit, Motown. So you can want Tootsie your monkey ass back to Africa if you want to.
What up, y'all? Happy Educational Friday, y'all. Shout out to everybody in the building, y'all. Come on in, get the likes up on the video. I'm sorry, y'all. Come on in, get the likes up on the video. We got a lot to discuss. Y'all, it's Educational Friday. It's our favorite Friday, our favorite day of the week. I'm sorry. My apologies for not being here last week. Obviously, I went out to London where I had a great time and I wasn't able to make it last week. It's another Friday coming up in a few weeks. I don't want to hear y'all out because Mardi Gras is coming up in like 2 to 3 weeks. So it's another Friday. I'm going to be out. But other than that, we here every Friday. It is Educational Friday, where basically we go back in history and debunk some crap that was lied to us. You know what I'm saying? Or was told to us that was lies. That's the whole purpose of Educational Friday, to re-educate ourselves, or to at least educate ourselves on the miseducation that we received. Okay. Now today, our topic is Black agriculture, Black grocery stores, or Black groceries, and basically the downfall of that. Now, I didn't kind of put that in the title, but I wanted to show you guys today on this Educational Friday how we as a culture went from heavy in agriculture, meaning like a lot of, what do they call them? Sharecropping and all that stuff. How we went from a lot of that in which that kind of bled into the grocery stores. And remember, it's important that we own grocery stores. That way we know what we're feeding ourselves. Now in 2026, we're stuck with only what the grocery store gives us. And I've been in Walmart, Kroger. I don't really go to Publix, but I've even been in those stores as well. And we don't know what they're giving us. But see, at a time when we were in agriculture and owning the stores, we knew exactly what was going into our bodies. But what we don't know is around that whole civil rights movement with Mike and all of that, that's when a lot of our grocery stores went down to the ground, because these people, the government, the powers that be, along with the racist KKK and all these other folks, went and literally grocery store by grocery store, city by city, started tearing down people's stores, or at least running them out of businesses and unaliving people and all types of stuff. We gonna get into that and that's how we basically get up here. But what we're gonna know, or what we're gonna talk about today, is because now we're kind of on a shift in the world where we can now get back those things that was once taken from us. We can go back into history and look at how it was taken and learn those lessons so that we can learn how to get these things back and maintain them. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about. Yes. Real farmers and real farmers markets. Yes. Because even now with the farmers markets, and shout out to the Asians, they do have the monopoly on the farmers markets. I can say in the Southeast. I don't know about any other state, but I can say between Louisiana and Georgia, the Vietnamese, they have the stock on the farmers market. And that's another thing too. We have been told that the Asians have been like the agriculture in like the sea portion of our society and all that stuff. That is also a lie. These people are Johnny come latelys, and a lot of the things that they know, they learned from us. So I need us to understand that. But ultimately, it was important and imperative, that we had the grocery stores, because we were able to control what was put into our mouths. Now that we can't control it, we go to these stores, they feeding us fake food, fake meat, fake all of that. And we don't have zero other alternatives. So we're going to explore today exactly how we went from in charge into nothing. Okay. And it's a few things that we're going to get into. But before we do that, y'all, like the video, subscribe to the channel. And per usual, like I do on the morning jokes, I'm going to encourage everybody on here, especially Black America, to please do your genealogy. It is the most important thing that you can do. Also, your knowledge of self is your first key to freedom. So please, you don't know who you are until you know where you come from, the people you come from, the lineage, what they've attributed to this world. So if you are Black, especially Black American, please do your genealogy. If you want reparations, you're going to have to do genealogy to get them anyway. So you may as well do so. Also, meditate, ground, and pray. It is time that we get back to the Most High God, because we are in a very deep spiritual warfare, and it is imperative that we get back to God. So you guys need to make sure you're tapping back into your higher self. Get into that higher power so that you can learn how to navigate through this war that we have going on, okay? So, yes, I know, Carmen, real farmers selling watermelon, they grew themselves, and potatoes. Yes, we got to get back to that. And you know what? We're going to get back to it. Trust and believe. We definitely will be getting back to it. It's just that we have to remember that we were there. See, right now, the collective of us, if you say sharecropping, the most of them will think about slavery, because we think of sharecropping and our minds go to slavery. And then we automatically get triggered on some stuff that never even happened to us in particular. And then it causes us to not want to visit those conversations. But today we're going to discuss it. Sir Will, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, happy Educational Friday. Thank you, beautiful. I appreciate you so much. You know, I appreciate each and every one of y'all for being here. Like the video so we can get this video in the algorithm. Now, before we get into the history, I want to go. I had saw this video. I am obsessed with this channel. Let me pull a channel up. Hold on. This channel, I don't know who's behind this channel, but I love this channel. I think last week we did a video from this channel as well. Hold on. Black Stories Untold is the name of the channel. And I was watching, this is what made me bring this up. So he did this video on fast food and how it destroyed Black American society, right? And basically how it destroyed, you know, our communities. Because as we know, fast food is on every single corner, everywhere you go. Matter of fact, I told y'all this before. When I moved to Macon, I had to look at it in another city to see it. So when I moved to Macon, or I never moved to Macon, but when I was hanging out in Macon, I'll say that, I noticed that when I would hang out on Sundays to watch the football games by my ex's family members, whenever like we needed something from the store, there was never a grocery store close around. Like the nearest grocery store was like 10, 20, 30 miles away. Now, mind you, in the heart of Macon, if y'all don't know about Macon, Georgia, it is predominantly Black. It always has been predominantly Black. Macon, Georgia is a very Black town. But when it was time for me to hang out there and we need to find fresh produce or anything other than fast food and BS, you couldn't find it for the next 10 or 20 miles. You had to damn near get on the interstate and go and find fresh food. So it was in that moment I realized, wait a minute, there's only one dilapidated grocery store that don't have nothing in it, and all the other stuff that's around here, like, it's unhealthy. It was in that moment I realized this is done by design. There's nowhere healthy for you to eat, even the fast food options. Like, for instance, I eat salads. So I said one Sunday, I said, you know what? They ain't got no grocery store. Cool. I'm going to go to Burger King and order me a salad. Do you know Burger King in the hood of Macon didn't even have salads on the menu? Do you understand why this is important? Because every Burger King has salads on the menu. Every Wendy's have a salad pop portion option on the menu. Every McDonald's have a salad option on the menu. But in Macon, Georgia, none of these fast food places even had the salad options. True story. God can strike me down if I'm lying right now. It was in that moment I said, oh, they trying to kill us. Like, I already knew it, but sometimes you got to get in it to be like, these motherfuckers really trying to kill us for real, for real. There was not one healthy option. So while we're talking about this, I'm watching Black Stories Untold. Y'all subscribe to this channel if y'all get a chance. And he starts to talk about how, like I said, fast food replaced the grocery stores. But one thing I saw that was interesting in this thing, he talked about how the options were bad and how they did it. Y'all, let me go up in here. I want y'all to see, because we're going to start with this. And this is all, remember I told you, around Mike and the Civil Rights Movement. Remember, we've already discovered Michael, a.k.a. Martin Luther King, is a Irish descendant. Let's say that. I ain't going to call him a tether because it's Educational Friday. But he is of Irish descent. There's a reason why a lot of things went the way that it went for Black America. There's a reason why what they won't tell you is during that time, a lot of Black American adults wanted nothing to do with Martin. Martin led a group of children, and he did it by propaganda in the news and the media, and made more of something than what it was. However, the Civil Rights Movement, listen to me, the Civil Rights Movement is one of those times I told you is where they put the cap on our economic freedoms. Okay? A lot of things were stripped away from us as we were singing hand in hand, we shall overcome. All of our economic, social, political, all of those freedoms were being stripped away during this time. So I found it ironic, not odd, but ironic that Black Stories Untold started this situation where it actually started, which was right after the Civil Rights Movement. Remember, we sang We Shall Overcome. We went up the mountain and we held hands with the clears, proverbially, right? And when we got back down off the mountain, everything we ever owned was taken. Let's get into it a little bit. Y'all get the likes up.
King has just been murdered. Over 100 cities are burning. When the smoke clears, something strange happens in Black neighborhoods across America. The grocery stores don't come back. The banks don't return. The insurance companies refuse to cover new businesses. But somehow, mysteriously, the fast food chains start moving in. Not immediately. They're smarter than that. They wait just long enough for people to get desperate. Then they arrive like saviors, offering cheap food and franchise opportunities to communities that had been abandoned by everyone else. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't market forces. This was a calculated takeover that would span decades and destroy generations. While white suburbs got fresh supermarkets and family restaurants, Black neighborhoods got drive-thrus and dollar menus. They called it urban development. They called it economic opportunity. But what it really was the creation of a new kind of segregation, one that didn't care where you sat, but controlled what you ate, how long you lived, and whose pockets your money filled. By the end of this video, you'll understand how fast food corporations helped build a system of economic control that makes the old Jim Crow look simple by comparison.
Pause. Shout out JM. JM Edwards says, I live and survive west of Chicago and just checked the nearest Mickey D's, and you are right. There's no salad option on their menu either. Educational Friday strikes again with the knowledge. Thanks. Listen, I swear on everything that I love. When I was in Macon trying to find me something to eat, because I was like, you know what? I don't want no more fried fish, fried chicken. You know, that's in every hood. Fried fish and fried chicken. I said, I don't want nothing fried. Let me just go get me something light. Man, when I went up in there and couldn't find a salad in no fast food, it was in that moment I said, they definitely trying to kill us. And if y'all think I'm lying, go to the hood. Not just where it's a mixed area. Go to the hood where it's predominantly black, where they got a liquor store, a funeral home, and a goddamn check cashing place on every corner. I bet you'll be hard pressed to find a salad. I bet you. Look, but let's get back into it. Thank you, JM, for mentioning that.
Let me take you back to April 4th, 1968. Martin Luther King Jr. is dead, and America is on fire. Detroit, Chicago, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., over 100 cities explode in rage and grief. When the National Guard finally leaves and the curfews are lifted, entire business districts in black neighborhoods have been reduced to ash and rubble. But here's what they don't teach you in history class. Most of those businesses never came back. The insurance companies showed up with their clipboards and their calculations, took one look at the damage, and made a decision that would reshape Black America forever. They refused to pay out claims. They canceled policies. They redlined entire neighborhoods, declaring them too risky for coverage. Without insurance, banks wouldn't loan money for rebuilding. Without loans, there could be no new grocery stores, no pharmacies, no restaurants. The very businesses that had anchored these communities for generations were effectively banned from returning.
Now, do you see what happened? He says, after the civil rights movement, when all of the riots and all that stuff started popping off, Martin Luther King started dying, the companies, the powers that be, raised insurance prices, made it hard for these people to get loans to reopen their businesses. They basically redlined the black-owned grocery stores up out of their own communities. They made it damn near impossible for you to be able to open your store back up after all of this, or even open a store. This is systematic. Now, when I tell y'all do genealogy, who knows? You might find you have a great relative who owned one of these grocery stores, because this is all over America, mind you. This isn't just in Alabama or Mississippi or Georgia. So who knows? What you'll find when you go to digging back in your genealogy. But this was done systematically so that they can replace us with these fast foods, where today you can hardly find a salad. Pay attention to how they played us.
Sarah Jackson owned a grocery store on 12th Street in Detroit before the uprising. 3 generations of her family had shopped there, worked there, built their lives around that corner store. After the fires, she applied for insurance to rebuild. The company told her the neighborhood was now classified as high risk.
And let me tell you something, them riots, you know how in 2020 for George Floyd, they dropped them bricks off so them little niggas could go in there and start them riots? They did that back then too. Because as you about to see, right after all these riots where they were burning down neighborhoods, they made it impossible for black-owned businesses to come back. That's all done by design.
Premium would cost more than her entire annual revenue. Sarah Jackson never reopened her store. Neither did the Johnson family's restaurant down the street. Neither did the Williams Brothers pharmacy on the corner. Multiply Sarah's story by thousands, and you begin to understand what really happened in the aftermath of 1968. This wasn't just property damage. This was economic amputation. Entire food systems that had sustained black communities were surgically removed, leaving behind empty lots and hungry people. And into this manufactured void, the fast food chains began to circle like vultures. But that's just the beginning of how they weaponized black hunger for profit. If you want more hidden stories like this, subscribe to Black Stories Untold.
So, because I don't want to get too deep into it, and I'm going to share this video so that you guys can watch it on your own time. Let me copy the link so I could drop it in the chat, because I want y'all to go back and watch this brother's video, because it is very, very good. So I'll drop it in the link for anybody who in the chat. I'm sorry, for anybody who want to go back and watch it. So again, it's Black History Untold is the name of the channel. Let me see the name of the channel. Very, very informative channel. Black Stories Untold. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way. So as we can see so far, what we know is we were heavy in business and we had our own groceries, right? We were providing food to our own people. Because remember, it didn't make sense for us to go all the way across town to a white grocer to get groceries. We shopped in our neighborhoods because that's where our grocery stores were. However, systematically, we were pushed out of our own neighborhoods and replaced with fast food stores. These fast food options will later, as we can see, cause all types of stuff in our neighborhoods. Remember the movie They Cloned Tyrone? They were basically poisoning the people through the chicken at the what? Fast food chicken restaurant. Does that make sense? So this was a way for them to plug in any type of abuse, any type of anything that they wanted to do with us, but also take us out of our own neighborhoods so that we could take better care of ourselves, because obviously we would feed ourselves better food. Like, it would make sense that we would get better options for our stores. We're not going to go get the cheap stuff. Only people who don't have to eat it. For instance, go in any Asian restaurant. You never see them eat that shit they serve y'all. That means whatever they serving you ain't even good enough for they ass to eat. So if you go in an Asian restaurant and you never see them eat that food, that should be the first big red flag for you. It's the same thing with these grocery stores. With these fast food restaurants, and even with the grocery stores they give us. They don't care what they put on our shelves. They don't have to eat it. It's us. But when we had our own grocery stores, obviously we put better options in. This is why they had to take us out of there. Now, before we even get into the grocery stores, we need to talk about how we were as farmers. Because what people don't realize is now, because people associate sharecropping with slavery, people hear sharecropper and automatically want to shun away from it, when that's the worst thing we could have done, because a lot of our ancestry comes from sharecropping. And let me say this, a lot of us, because we associate sharecropping with slavery, whenever we see it coming up on our census records and all that stuff, we automatically assume, oh snap, Aunt Bertha was a sharecropper, that must mean she was a slave. That does not mean that. A sharecropper was an actual, it was a job. It was employment. Okay? That's how you made money. You could be a sharecropper on your own land. Self-employment. I'll give you an example. Let's say I own 10 acres of land. In 2026, I would be a sharecropper if I start growing tomatoes, if I start growing vegetables and all type of stuff on my land, and say, you know what? I can't eat all of this. Let me take these vegetables and start selling them to the people in my neighborhood. Guess what I would be called? A sharecropper. I grow food and I distribute it to the people. That's all it is. Even if I didn't distribute it, a sharecropper is just a person who tends to the land. It's a job title. That's all it is. But because of roots and because of slavery and the stories that we've been told, all we hear is sharecropping. We think of slavery and we run away from it. That was done on purpose. Do not ever do that again, because you're taking yourself out of who you are naturally. This is why we're subjected to eating fake meat now in 2026. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, whites were sharecroppers. A lot of people were sharecroppers. Everybody, and listen, and this is the gag too. We automatically assume that we, like I said before, that we sharecroppers on somebody else's land, when the fact of the matter is more than most of us were sharecropping our own lands, not everybody else's. I'm not saying that everybody had their own land. A lot of people were gypped out of their land. As a matter of fact, by and large, we all were. That's why we don't own nothing now. But what I'm telling you is they will make you think that everybody that you see on them pictures with that hoe tending to that grass is out there sweating by the brow because they jacked up. No, that's their house behind them. You see what I'm saying? See, they're not telling you that behind them, that big house, that's their house. But all they do is show you the picture and put a caption, slaves tending the land, and look at niggas, oh Lord, I never want to do sharecropping again. That's the worst mistake you could ever make. Now, again, sharecropping went hand in hand with grocery stores because we are creating our own supply and demand for food. This is what we're going to have to do moving forward because we are going to get back into a space where we're back tending to our own lands, growing our own foods, and we will have our own grocery stores. That would mean that people who own Publix, the people who own these black grocery stores are going to have to be in good handshake community and a relationship with the sharecroppers because you want to make sure that y'all are good so you can continue to have a good relationship back and forward. Okay? Yes, farming is huge money. And we're going to get into that a little bit. It's big, big money. They got us thinking that it's something bad by the stigma. You know what I mean? Now, I want to get into, let me see where I'm at. Yeah, Black Americans' history in sharecropping, right? Or farming, if you want to call it that. Let's call it farming, sharecropping. It's all the same. There is now a Black Farmers Union. I don't know the name of it. We'll get to it. I have an article for it that we'll pull up here lately. But I want to get a bit of a history of what our history was in farming. It says there were nearly 1 million Black farmers in 1920. Why have they disappeared? Now, before we get into this, I want to tell y'all now, it was a multitude of things. The Great Migration, that was a lot of the KKK and the government pushing us off of our lands. Also, my great-grandmother fell victim to this. There was the illusion of the big lights of the big city. Y'all remember in the movie Sinners when Smoke and Stack was in the car with their nephew and he said, man, I sure would love to know what Chicago is like. He said, I heard it's all pretty, ain't nothing like Mississippi. What did Smoke or Stack, one of them, say? Chicago ain't nothing but Mississippi with big buildings. That's it. The allure of the big city was big then. So a lot of people left their lands and volunteered and went to the big cities. That is a true thing. So you got the KKK and the government pushing us out, and then you got people that are volunteering because they believe I can get a better life if I go to Chicago, if I go to New Orleans, if I go to these major cities. When the fact of the matter is it was the same thing all over. Okay? So anyways, I want to get into a little bit of the article. It says John Boyd Jr.'s grandfather, Thomas, the son of a slave, slept with the deed to his farm under his mattress. He worried constantly that his land would be taken from him. 20 miles away and 3 generations later, Boyd lives on his own 210-acre farm in a big white colonial house with rows of soybean that go almost up to the front door, like other people have grass. It says 100 cattle, a cluster of guinea hogs, 3 goats, and a small herding dog named Fatso, whom Boyd calls his best friend, lives here. It says the number of Black farmers in America peaked in 1920 when there were 949,889 farmers, I guess. It says today, of the country's 3.4 million farmers, or total farmers, only 1.3%, or 45,508, are Black. According to new figures from the U.S. Department of Agriculture released this month, it says they owned a mere 0.52% of America's farmland. By comparison, 95% of U.S. farmers are white. So they've successfully taken us from having over 1 million farmers in the early 1900s, 1920s, to now we own less than 1% of farmland. And 95% of the farmers are white. That is done by design. Now, remember, in order to get us out of the grocery stores, the first thing they got to do is get us off the farms. Because you see, it don't make sense to get us out the grocery stores if we still in charge of the food. Okay? Hold on. Let me pull this. Let's go let Wikipedia lie to us right quick. But we're going to sift through it as we can. Now, antebellum South. According to Wikipedia, it says the great majority of Black farm workers before 1865 were enslaved workers on Southern farms and plantations. Lie. Because at the end of the day, the South was predominantly black in the 1800s. And even though there were slave owners, you had to be kind of rich to own slaves. And the fact of the matter is, most people in the South weren't rich. And yes, a lot of those people who were slave owners were black. However, they will tell you that most of everybody in the South was slaves. That is a lie, okay? It goes on to say smaller numbers were free employees or farm owners. So flip that. It was more of them that were free employees and farm owners than goddamn slaves. It says in South Carolina, there were about 400 black free farmers in the rural parishes surrounding Charleston. As farmers, their strategies, production, and rural lives resembled the poor white neighbors. It says survival was a high priority and involved establishing economic self-sufficiency through the concentration on food crops for their own families, and then by cultivating social advantages such as having a rich white patron. I can't even talk. So basically, even in South Carolina, Black people were in charge of their own farming and their own food. They were feeding themselves. But it sounds like the ones of them were getting, it sounds like some of them probably was getting a little infatuated with having these white people patronize them. I see that happening a lot in 2026. It says Virginia had a large free Black element. By 1860, there were 58,000 free Black people living in Virginia, 80% in rural areas. Remember, this is all before the Great Migration. That's why most of them are living in rural areas. Most lived on the Eastern Shore. 1 out of 8 Black people in the state was free, and the rest was enslaved in 1860. There were several legal restrictions in terms of non-voting, not testifying in court, not attending schools, and other things, I guess. It says newly manumitted ex-slaves had to leave the state. However, the same property laws were applied, allowing free Black people to own and operate 1,202 small farms in 1860. They were patronized by some wealthy white landowners who would hire them for cash wages from time to time. So, okay, we had the monopoly on farming in so far South Carolina and in Virginia. But it seems like the white hope keeps coming around and putting a monkey wrench in our plans. Because I'm telling you, there's this thing where we have to get this approval of these clears. And let me say this too, because even back then, tethers were undercover. I'm going to say it again. Even back then, tethers were undercover. A lot of these quote unquote African Americans they be showing us in history don't be African Americans. A lot of these quote unquote African Americans they be talking about that be done sold us out. Not saying some of us didn't, because some of us did, but a lot of them don't be. A lot of them be mixed breeds or it be tethers. I'm just telling you the truth. But at the end of the day, we had the monopoly on the agriculture, at least in South Carolina and in Virginia, but we had it all over the South. We had it, and this was the very gateway that we needed to get to the grocery stores. I'm going to show you one more article, and then we're going to get into the grocery store history. Hold on one second. The deep roots of Black American farmers, foodways, and culinary traditions in America. Now, I'm going to be honest. Y'all want my true opinion? Carter G. Woodson. What's that other boy? Frederick Douglass. I think all them niggas was agents. I do. And if I'm wrong, ancestors forgive me. But I think all them niggas, and this is the worst part, some of them did good things for us. But I think them niggas was agents, especially Frederick Douglass. Everywhere that nigga went, when he left, shit went left. Mound Bayou. I'm just saying, everywhere he went, whenever he left, shit went left. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Carter G. Woodson, it says, in 1926, historian Carter G. Woodson created Negro History Week, a week of celebration that later expanded into what we know as Black History Month in 1976. Now, I want to scroll down and get to the meat and potatoes of this. It says, food systems, a vital part of Black history. Black farmers and agricultural scientists have shaped food production in America for centuries, from enslaved Africans, which is us, who bought advanced farming techniques, to George Washington Carver, who revolutionized agriculture with crop rotation. Now, remember, they like to call us African Americans, or they'll say we came from Africa on the boat. Watch the hijack. That means us, and we already was here. For example, the 19th century innovator Henry Blair created two tools that increase efficiency and yield for farmers: a corn planter and a cotton planter. Blair was the second African American or Black American to hold the United States patent and was both successful farmer and inventor. Please be advised that the reason why we were such good inventors is because we were the ones created all of it. That's why we are such the good inventors. This is why a lot of the clears came in and started patenting our stuff and stealing it, because we created everything. That's why we invent these things first. It goes on to say later, Booker T. Washington helped to further shape agriculture and food history through founding and leading the Tuskegee Institute, a center for education for Black Americans. It says, offering both academic and vocational training, the Tuskegee Institute promoted agricultural education, practicing farming skills, the importance of scientific farming practices, and self-sufficiencies. These are just a few of the many Black Americans that made revolutionary impacts on modern farming and food knowledge. Now, we were already during this time getting ourselves educated, because we were already educated, keeping ourselves educated on the importance of agriculture and the science of it. We don't know nothing about it. Now, my daughter just graduated college last year, and there was she graduated from an HBCU, and there was a huge class for agriculture. I love to see it. I don't know exactly what the concentrations are in these studies, but I do know there was a huge class that fell under that whole agriculture section in college. But I think that if we are to get this stuff back, we got to go back and do it the way we did it before. Just like Booker T opened up his school, we need to open up more schools. We need more training facilities. It ain't got to be no certifications. Remember, we don't need to certify ourselves to their standard. It's kind of like having that plantation money on sinners. It don't matter what their value is. We need to create a value system within ourselves. Meaning, so for instance, let's say the value systems inside of Black America is you get a higher ranking or you get a better chance at getting a job within Black America if you get your training from a Black American versus somewhere outside. You see what I'm saying? We will create that system and we will create the scales to balance what is what. So we'll say, hey, you went to Yale and got your agriculture degree. But this person, they went to an HBCU and studied under this person who that, you see what I'm saying? Then we create the value system and we can X theirs out completely. Okay. But we got to get back and go back to where we were before. I want to read a little bit more. It says, enslaved Africans, which is us, brought crucial knowledge of farming practices that transformed Southern agriculture starting in 1619. You notice they always start our story when they got here. Over time, figures like Carver promoted soil sustainably, while Booker T. Washington championed agriculture education for Black students. Despite challenges, Black farmers built thriving communities based on crop diversification and independence. It says using models like cooperative farming, supported by movements such as the Civil Rights Movement, Black farmers pooled their resources, knowledge, and connections while reducing individual financial risk. That means they were working together. That means like-minded people who wanted the same things decided, you know what? We're going to build a system where we trust each other enough, where we know that this is bigger than me, it's bigger than you, it's bigger than him, it's bigger than all of us collectively. It's about us. They were able to create systems. Now, people think in 2026, because I am guilty, I don't trust these niggas. I ain't gonna lie, I don't trust them neither. However, I do know there's somebody out here, that has to be people out here that think like me. I cannot be the only person in this world who actually care about people other than myself. It's just that I haven't met these people. It's called your soul tribe. It's called your family, your forever family is what I could call it. These are the people that you need to align with so that we can do these things, just like these brothers did back then. I guarantee you it was just as many untrustworthy niggas then as there are now. I promise you. But all it takes is for you to align yourself with like-minded people. And in order to combat the BS and make sure you only align yourself with that, you're going to have to go within and know about you so that God can make sure he put you in on the path with the right people. Yup, group economics. I'm waiting to find my tribe. Oh, girl. See, my tribe. And I mean, y'all my tribe, but I'm talking about my investment tribe, my soul tribe, my new family. I've been manifesting my people in. Listen to me and listen to me good. I have been manifesting my new life in with my new family and my new friends because I know it's going to be something like I've never had. And I know that we're going to do amazing things for the collective of us. You see what I'm saying? I know I'm not the only person in America think like this. It's just for me to get put on the right path to find the people who think like me so that we can pool our resources together and actually become the example we be on here talking about. That's what I'm doing. I'm just pulling my 5D into my 3D right now. I'm manifesting every single day to find my tribe. You see what I'm saying? And you should too. But yeah, you can do it just like they did it then. You just got to find like-minded people. It says this kind of collaboration allow Black farmers to get out of the sharecropping or tenant farming situations and move in the direction of economic justice. Farming was a way for Black communities to be self-sufficient and achieve greater autonomy so that racist systems of oppression held a looser grasp on their lives. Listen to what I'm saying. The riches and the freedom is in the land. Let me say it again. Shout out to my UK advocate. I just left there. Hey, Ange. Shout out to my UK advocate. Listen, man. And the UK has beautiful farms. Man, I got on the train and I went and saw all that beautiful agriculture out there. It's so much land that y'all could be farming out there and tending out there as well. But they keep us locked in these cities, so we won't get to it. But listen, just like these brothers did, because I want to get back to this. Just like these brothers did, they pulled their resources in so that they can block out the system and they can work together. We can do that, y'all. We have the ability to do it now. Matter of fact, there are people doing it successfully as we speak. But what we don't understand is how important it is to own land. This is why they got us thinking buying cars and condos is the way to go. Even buying houses on these little partial little pieces of acres of land. They don't want us to understand the real value is in the land. That's why we tell y'all, especially Sergeant King. Every day Sergeant King is on here, they saying, y'all need to buy land. The freedom is in your land. A lot of us won't even have to buy land because once we do our genealogy, we're going to get our land back that the government owes us. We just waiting to wake up to go do our genealogy. What I'm telling y'all is this. Our ancestors knew back then where the freedom lied. It lied in control of your own stuff. It lied in ownership of your own land. See, if I own my own land, I can farm on this side and make a grocery store on this side because this is all my land. And I know people gonna say, well, voodoo, what about what do they call it? What about when they come in and try to take your land for random reasons? That's gonna happen sometimes, but that can't stop us from doing what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? The value, the true value is in the land. Remember, we're talking about grocery stores, but I need us to understand why owning the land on top of the grocery stores is important and why they took us out of the land so they could take us out of the grocery stores later. Okay? I want to move into the grocery store setting. Now, this is the craziest part about the grocery stores. Prior to, I want to say even when I was a little girl, they had Black-owned grocery stores. And I was born in 83. But even in the 90s, there were still Black-owned grocery stores. Put a 3 in the chat if you are my age, or if you could remember a time where there were Black-owned grocery stores. As a matter of fact, the one in Macon, remember I told y'all I went to find a salad and there was only one busted up grocery store out there? That one was actually a Black-owned grocery store, but it was so old and it was so hard to get produce in there, it wasn't nothing in there for you to buy. But it was an old man. You could tell his family had owned this grocery store out of Macon probably for 100 years. It was an old man. He probably had 2 tomatoes in there, 1 onion, and some rotten bananas or something in there. You know what I'm saying? But they slowly but surely got ran up out of there, right? Because they didn't want us to, like I said, control our stuff. But I was saying all that to say, even up into the 90s, there were still Black-owned grocery stores. We didn't even realize how quick they snatched us up off of it. Let's go into the Reconstruction, right? Because remember, I tell y'all, a lot of the stuff economically started happening to us up and around Reconstruction, okay? Reconstruction, the Great Depression. This is when a lot of life is changing for us drastically with our freedoms and economics, okay? Now, it says Dr. Gordon Nimbard. It says, after Reconstruction, some elements of organized labor joined together for economic and political reasons to try to win political rights for small farmers, laborers, and Blacks. It says there were few integrated unions that operated mostly in the South. The Kings of Labor was one of such groups, and it says in the 1870s and 1880s, they promoted cooperative stores and warehouses, collective lending, and worker cooperatives, okay? Let me scroll down. It goes on to say they face fierce retaliation sometimes, because we're going to get into these grocery stores. They face fierce retaliation, sometimes even lynchings, from former white plantation owners and masters. Remember, the government allowed them to do that because they wanted us out of there. But as one group would go underground and disperse, others started. After the King of Labor was the Colored Farmers Alliance and Cooperative Union. So now we're talking about all these unions and stuff. Black Americans are getting together to make sure that we not ran up out of here. It says an all-Black initiative with connections to Southern Farmers Alliances. They had similar aims to the KOL, but increased efforts. As such, they were able to establish a few cooperative exchanges, warehouses, and credit outlets in several Southern towns. So we organizing, right? We making sure we protecting what we got. In the North, most of the early cooperative activity was based around mutual aid societies. The first Rochdale or Rochdale type Black cooperative started in 1901 in Ruthville, Virginia. Mercantile Cooperative Company. It says in 1915, the Pioneer Cooperative Society formed in Harlem and opened a small grocery store in 1919. The Colored Merchants Association, a marketing cooperative of independent African-American grocers, was founded by the National Negro Business League in Montgomery, in Alabama in 1927. So we had systems in place. We had associations and unions to make sure that we were safe. We were propping up and making sure, because we knew protecting our food source was the main ingredient. Also, think back to the Black Panthers. The biggest reason for Fred Hampton and them to start that free breakfast program was because they understood that they were poisoning us through the food, through the stuff that they were giving us in the school systems. They knew that it was nothing but trash and poison. So what were they doing? Working with farmers, Black farmers, to get I'm not free because I don't know that, but to get produce and things in so that they can get the free breakfast program and to feed our children before they go to school, because they understood what you put in your bodies literally affect your brains. That's why our children jacked up the way they is now. But the point is, we had all types of unions and all types of things that we had set up so that we could be good. But you know, the way the system works, and I'm only bringing this to show y'all what happened in history, not to scare you, because we will get all of this back. Unfortunately, because we were doing so well and the KKK could not run us off our lands as fast as they wanted to, they ended up doing this whole lynching. So there was a whole lynching project that happened in the late 1800s, I want to say the early 1900s, where they were going around lynching grocery store owners. Ida B. Wells, a Black American woman, she was one of those people who kind of headed this situation, or at least was at the head of what was going on. Now, we're going to get into this because remember, they're going to make it seem like these are one-offs. These are just things that happen here, there. No, these are systematic things that were happening to get us out of ownership. These are the things that are stuck hiding in our genealogy that we don't want to go back and pull because we think genealogy is the worst thing ever. Okay? Now, let's get into these lynchings. It says in March of 1892, let me go back. The People's Grocery lynchings. Thomas Moss, Will Stewart, and Calvin McDowell. This is of March 9th, 1892. It says in March of 1892, a mixed race neighborhood called The Curve near Mississippi Boulevard and Walker Avenue, a white grocer named William Barrett found his business shrinking because of success of a grocery nearby run by 3 Black men, Will Stewart, Tommy Moss, and Calvin McDowell. Now, so far, we got a white man and a biracial man or biracial couple, whoever. They got their grocery store, but they're not doing well because 3 Black men own the grocery store and they outdoing them. Rumors and Trump-up charges sent a large group of armed white men into the store. Gunshots were traded and several white men were injured. 3 Black grocers, all family men, were arrested and jailed. 3 days later, the downtown jail was stormed and Stewart, Moss, and McDowell were dragged out and taken to the nearby Chesapeake and Ohio rail yards. The 3 men fought back, but eventually McDowell was shot point blank by a shotgun. Will resisted until he was shot in the neck, and Tommy Moss was asked if he had any final words. He said, "Tell my people to go west. There is no justice for them here." He was shot and left with the others under a pile of brush. This lynching is also known as the lynchings at the Curve. Now remember, just like all these thriving Black towns, remember they say, oh, some random Black kid whistled at some random clear girl, and now we got to go tear all y'all towns down. Same shit, different toilet, flush it. Now they're going to make it seem because one random couple, some white people and some biracial people, because their stores wasn't doing well, they started this whole lynching that's going to lead into a whole bunch of lynchings. Watch the hijack. Watch the hijack. But let's go further. It says, this lynching is also known as the lynchings at the Curve. Regarding her good friend Thomas Moss, Ida B. Wells wrote, "A finer, cleaner man than he never walked the streets of Memphis. He was well liked, a favorite with everybody, yet he was murdered with no more consideration than if he had been a dog. The colored people feel that every white man in Memphis who consented in his death is as guilty as those who fired the guns which took his life. With the aid of the city and county authorities and the daily papers, that white grocer had indeed put an end to his rival Negro grocer as well as to his business." And this is signed Ida B. Wells in the Crusade for Justice in 1892. Let's move on. It says in 1892, Memphis and the world showed Thomas Moss hate. Today we can show his descendants some love. Now we're going to go down because there were more than just that. Let's go to the red record, the People's Grocery Part 2. March 9th, 1892, we already talked about them in Tennessee. It says the Black men had formed a co-op called People's Grocer that had drawn customers from away. I'm sorry. Let me go back. The Black men had formed a co-op called the People's Grocers that had drawn customers away from a nearby white competitor. Their murderers led famed journalists and women's suffragists, Ida B. Wells, to investigate the true racist motivations of the lynchings. And I got to read this off my phone because this glare be killing my eyes. Sorry, y'all. I got to read this from my phone so I can see. I can't see it like this. And I'm tired of struggling. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull it off my phone. Y'all like the video, please. I think it's This one. Which one this is? Lynchings. Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up off of here. There you go. Scroll down. All right. It goes on to say on March 9th, 1892, Thomas Moss, we already read that. Okay, here's where we were. It says the black men had formed a co-op called People's Grocery that had drawn customers away from the nearby white competitor. Their murderers led famed journalist and women's suffragist Ida B. Wells to investigate the true racist motivations of lynchings, and she was exiled soon after because of her writing. So she was exiled after that. It says 3 African-American businessmen, we already talked about that, and Will Stewart was murdered at the hands of a mob in Memphis, Tennessee, simply for running a better business than the white competitor. The lynching of these men, well respected in the African-American community of Memphis, outraged Wells. Emboldened, Wells furiously fought against those who participated in or ignored violence against African Americans. It says the Ida B. Wells historical marker that has been on Beale Street or Kitty Corner from the Jerry Lee Lewis, I don't know what that means, mentions the People's Grocery lynchings and the importance that it played. Let me scroll down so y'all can see it. I guess this right here. Okay, there we go. It says Ida B. Wells crusaded against lynchings in Memphis and the South. It says in 1892, while editor of the Memphis Free Speech located in this vicinity, she wrote of the lynchings of 3 black businessmen. As a result, her newspaper office was destroyed and her life was threatened. So when she wrote about it, they ended up destroying her office and her business, it looks like. And her life was threatened. It says how the location, let me scroll up so y'all can just see it. How the location of the People's Grocery lynching was rediscovered. Historically, the People's Grocery lynching is one of the most important lynchings in American history for at least 2 reasons. First, it caused a large population of the African-American community to flee Memphis. Okay? So a lot of us ran out of Memphis behind this grocery store lynching. Second, it convinced Ida B. Wells to conduct a census of lynchings with systematic research. It says catalog, categorize, and analyze lynchings in America. More than 120 years ago, the tragedy of Memphis made the front page of the New York Times, and it says Thursday marked the 125th anniversary of the People's Grocery lynching. Let me scroll down and see. We see the marker. I thought they was going to show... I thought they were going to talk about the other lynching she wrote about. Thomas Moss symbolized the urban... Moss invested in a community-owned grocery. Let me read this. Thomas Moss symbolized the urban entrepreneurial class of African Americans that emerged in the decades following the Civil War. Moss invested in a community-owned grocery store, the People's Grocery, which he managed at night after spending his days working as a postman. The People's Grocery was located at the southeast corner of what is today's Mississippi Boulevard and Walker Avenue, known as the curve from which the distinctive turn the streetcars made the corner. Wow. So, because we don't need, I think that's about it, because it was kind of just going into more detail of the other people. I thought they were going to talk about the other lynchings, but we'll go over it another way on another day. But this is the point. We had unions, we had businesses, we had everything we needed to have our own stuff. However, lynchings and then running out of town. Let me say this too about genealogy. When they said after these lynchings that a lot of Black Americans were ran from Memphis to other places, you need to do your genealogy. A lot of us may have, I haven't found Memphis in my family yet. However, a lot of you may have Memphis or family members that were ran out of Memphis. That's land that I'm pretty sure your family ran away from that you can go back and claim if you do your genealogy. Just throwing it out there, you know. Anyways, I'm saying all that to say we had everything we needed. We had unions, we had grocery stores, and every time we outpaced them in the past, what did they do? Run us up out of there. Now, I'm not saying in 2026 they wouldn't do the same, because I think that they could. However, it's not going to be like they told you in the movies and in the history books. Because remember, they have to fantasize these things to make you afraid to want to go back and do it again. Remember, they want you afraid to have your own independence. This is why I get freaked out when people be like, oh my God, how we gonna own? All right, how we gonna own this? How we gonna own that? They're gonna do us the same way they did us in Jim Crow. They're gonna do us the same way they did us with this. Scared money don't make no money. All these scared Negroes that's afraid, at the end of the day, you're gonna lie. How the old saying go? Stand on your feet, or live on your feet, or die on your knees, or something like that. You can't live like that, because at the end of the day, this is the thing. We have an open field to go back and get the things that was taken from us. Only the people who are scared are not going to be able to do so. However, we're going to need the small of us, or the few of us, to help guide the many of us. So while we're here, if you're on this channel, you are part of the few. Let's be clear. If you on this channel listening to me, you part of the few. Not because of me, but because what we even talking about. Most people ain't on YouTube listening to this. So if you on this channel, you're here for a reason. It's going to take the small or the few of us to make sure that we get this word out to the masses, to the ones who will hear, because there's a lot of people still going under that fake ideology of being afraid, or, oh, what's going to happen to us. We need to cut that. It's over, because we're going to get back our shit. Okay. Now let's get into this video that I pulled about the Negro farmer. Now remember, all of this stems from them taking us off of our farms. This is from Periscope Film. The Negro Farmer, 1938. I wanted to show y'all a bit of this, and we'll stop it as we need be. Y'all get the likes up. Fast forward a little bit.
Independence and perhaps prosperity, all too many barely make a living. In common with all other Southern farmers, they have suffered from a train of evils that have their roots in poor farming, particularly one-crop farming. For over 30 years, agricultural extension workers have labored to eradicate these evils. The demonstration work, founded long ago by the late Dr. Seaman A. Knapp, has grown into a nationwide extension service. This map shows the status of this work among Negroes in 1937. There are over 225 agricultural agents and about 175 home demonstration agents now working for better farming and better living among Southern Negroes. Aunt Sally Smith, born in Africa and long past her 110th year when she...
Let's be clear. This lady wasn't born in no Africa. And this is how you're going to know. Now, I haven't even watched it. But this is how you're going to know that lady wasn't born in Africa. She's not going to say she was born in Africa. She won't even mention where she was born, if she mentions it at all. However, she's going to start her story on sharecropping. She's not. I haven't watched it, but I know how these documentaries go. I've clicked on too many of them. She's going to start her story at sharecropping. Now, she might, if it depends on what type of actor she is, if she's an actor at all, they might get her to say a few things like, oh, Master did this and Master did that. But if you pay attention to what she's saying, she's really just going to be telling you stories about sharecropping. Turn your slavery brain off and listen to this lady as if she's just telling you a story. Watch. And this is how you'll be able to read between the lines. But they're going to tell us she's from Africa. And oh, by the way, this is the book. I'm glad I have this right here. Get me up here. Return of the Ancient Ones. I spoke to y'all about this on the Morning Joes, and I told y'all I was reading this book on the plane. This is the book, Return of the Ancient Ones. This is about ancient beings, Black Americans here in America. These ancient ones all lived past 100 years old. I told y'all on Morning Joes that we have family members that have lived past 100 years old. I told you that is because these are ancient ones. Now, when you listen to his story, he's going to tell you these ancient ones came from Africa and they slaved all their days, but for some odd reason was still able to make it to 110 and 120 years old. That is not the truth. Now, people may say that they don't believe that people live to be over 100 years old. They do, and they did. And these are ancient beings of America, Black America. Okay? Now, I want to get that clear to y'all out there so we know. Okay? Now, let's get back into it, y'all, really quickly.
Died in 1937, lived to see the hard lot endured by her generation and that of her children, in some measure bettered by this campaign to help Negroes help themselves. In the nature of things, extension work among the poorer farmers.
They didn't even let her talk. There you go.
Living in houses like these, on small farms, often on unproductive soil, must deal with fundamentals. Thus, the problem of the Negro farmer is like the proverbial problem of lifting yourself by your own bootstraps. He has little or no cash income. It is no mere pleasantry to say that for these folks the hound dog is a useful farm animal, and that hunting and fishing are not sports primarily, but necessary means for providing fresh meat. Under such conditions, the farm agent's problem is one of making the most of small resources. Here, for example, is a one-room cabin in the cotton country. The farm, 3 acres of thin, sour land. The household, mind you, they all sleep together on pallets in this little cabin.
And I hate to stop it again, but I just have to stop it to let you guys know they're showing you anomalies, meaning the few, and broadcasting it like it's the many. It's no different from today when they show the black girl and they show the ratchet girl. Right now, in 2026, when they show you black women, they show you Sukihana, they show you Cardi, and she ain't even black. They will show you every representation of a beautiful black woman except that. That's the same thing they was doing here. They go find these anomalies. Remember, this is big business. They got to broadcast this out to everybody. Yes, propaganda. So what they're doing is putting out the few and making it seem like it's the many. That's not the case. Yes, there were people who were living like this, and yes, these people lived on white people's lands, but this was the few and not the many. Don't ever forget it.
12 persons. This primitive home, this big household, this small, thin-soiled farm, these exemplify the conditions in question at their worst. Live at home is the watchword of the extension program, and a good home garden the first objective, for otherwise a proper standard of physical well-being cannot be attained. Here's a well-planned home garden, large enough to supply the needs of a big family with something left over for market.
You heard that? Something left over for market?
Another garden farther south, where okra is a garden.
You see how you can make money with your land? You already growing peaches. You already growing watermelon. The grocery store down the street might need to want to buy some of them. There you go. You already growing it. You can't eat it all. Now you just created another stream of income. You get it? This is why they don't want you to own land. This is why they got you looking at everything except land. Because land is the gift that keeps on giving. You will never go broke if you own land.
Staple. Where it is the practice to can surplus fruit and vegetables, such a garden may go far towards supplying the family living. In the truck-growing districts, many families make their living from the sale of vegetables. Here is a farm devoted largely to the growing of eggplant. Thus, the garden may be expanded to furnish most of the cash income of the farm. In any event, the garden remains a major feature of the extension program. Crop improvement work may begin with a neighborhood demonstration by the county agricultural agent, an agent demonstrating approved standards for the selection of seed corn. The lessons learned from such demonstrations are fundamental. A county agent gives a group of his 4-H club boys a lesson in seed corn selection in the field. Proof of the value of this work is such a cornfield as this on the farm of a cooperator. or this field of corn and soybeans. Note the luxuriant growth of the soil improvement crop between the rows of corn.
Somebody said this some hard work. I ain't gonna lie. I was thinking that too, simply, Monique. Look, Monique said this some hard work, but I ain't gonna lie, Monique. We'll be finding in the mud. Quiet as it's kept. The reason why we fat now, because we don't be outside. Hey, man, I know if I had to work in the farm every day, I'd be the baddest bitch this side of Mississippi, girl. What did you say? This why our ancestors was fine. This why our grandma wasn't fat. You see what I'm saying? Now, grandma got fat once she got old and she couldn't go outside no more. But for the most part, girl, we stayed fine. Girl, the men's was fine. The women's was fine. Right, body tight. Girl, all I'm thinking about is, girl, let me go to work. Girl, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, girl, I know we was finding in the mud.
Harvesting tobacco on the land of a farmer who works in close cooperation with his county agent in the work that is being done to improve the methods of handling this crop. This farmer gives each of his children a definite share in the proceeds of the crop. These little girls are working not only for the family, but also for themselves. There's wholesome personal pride back of this dexterity.
Now you see how he got that family business? You see how he got that family business? Now his kids are not just working for themselves. They are working for the farm. They're also working for themselves. Now, when he did his census and they had to label these kids, if they called anybody who had color was a slave, he would be the slave owner, and those would be his what, ladies and gentlemen? His slaves. Not in the sense of a whoosh, whip, beat them, and hang them. No, they're simply his employees, even though they're also his children. You see how this land is the gift that keeps on giving. So you making money, I can hire my kids, and they making money. The gift that keeps on giving. Yeah.
With the help of extension specialists, farmers in the peanut region are giving more and more consideration to the problems of handling this important crop. In certain districts, the extension workers have pushed the production of long staple cotton, a Negro family picking Sea Island cotton grown from seed secured through the help of the county agricultural agent. A group of 4-H Cotton Club boys, each delivering his bale to the warehouse. The success of each of these boys necessarily has a good effect on the cotton farming of his neighborhood. These bales are silent witnesses for the cause of better agriculture. Soil conservation is a major feature of the extension program. Farmers are urged to plow and cultivate on contours and follow other approved practices. A crew preparing for terracing under the direction of an extension agent. Note that the job is done with simple and inexpensive equipment. Such modern practice is becoming common among these farmers, as is the use of soil improvement crops, such as soybeans, cowpeas, lespedeza, Austrian winter peas, and vetch. Witness this fine stand of Japan clover. On the left,
somebody said soybean. No, girl, soybean was one of the original agriculture. And let me play while I look for it. Soybean, I want to say soybean, corn, and it was something else. Was one of the original agricultural things. That's an old thing. Soybean. Let me see.
Who grew this crop? The farm poultry flock is a factor of major importance in the Live at Home program. These barred rocks provide essentials needed for balancing the diet of the household, as well as with eggs and fryers for sale or trade. This flock of Rhode Island Reds is the pride and joy of a former 4-H club member. Poultry is a profitable demonstration for both boys and girls, and is stressed as one of the main enterprises in the Live at Home program. This 4-H club boy took his chickens to school with him, and with the proceeds from sale of eggs, he is paying his way at a preparatory institution, a way to get an education if you have what it takes.
You hear that? Now, let's be clear. Obviously, with technology and with the world being the way that it is, we wouldn't do things exactly the same. However, the concept is still there. You own land and now you have employees. Your family are your employees. This is why when you go look up these censuses, you'll see a lot of sharecropping. And even if you go back further, you'll see a slave owner and then you'll see slaves. That's not the same as an indentured servant, because an indentured servant is typically there to, to work off a debt or something like that. But slave was a status of employment. You get it? They don't tell you that. They want you to think slavery was something that it wasn't. And it kind of was and wasn't. It's a whole conundrum. But either way, the point is, this whole family eats off of one person or off the family only land. You know what I'm saying? Oh, but those crops, the first original crops, it says in America were the three sisters, corn, bean, and squash. Soybean old as dirt. They'll tell you that it's something new, but you know how that goes.
Communities, turkeys are a profitable source of cash income. And occasionally, we find a man who goes into poultry in a commercial way. This is the plant of a farmer who specializes in white leghorns. Livestock improvement work is done largely through the Boys and Girls 4-H Club. Some calf club boys getting pointers on how to judge a dairy cow. And here
now
is
remember
the business
too,
end of a...
Remember Martin Luther King said they had to learn how to farm. So when you see these clears learning how to milk cows, they're learning. Remember, them Cabbage Patch Kids. Them Cabbage Patch Kids, I told y'all, they don't have no skills. They coming off the boat from Ellis Island like a bunch of, I ain't gonna say it. You see what I'm saying? They don't have no language. They don't have no skills. What's happening now is the government is they running black people off their lands. And the ones who have land, they paying them not to farm. And then they having the black people, certain of them, create these land grant colleges where they teach these white people how to farm. They don't know how to do this. Them Cabbage Patch Kids with no history, I keep telling y'all. Now, they coming in learning how to farm through us, and simultaneously, we being ran off of our farms. Our farms are being stolen from us.
Another 4-H calf club enterprise. These purebred jerseys have a high record for butterfat production. Particularly in Alabama, local veterinarians with vaccinating equipment, in cooperation with the county agent, have trained many farmers to help stamp out hog cholera. The farmers in a community can get the job done quickly and economically under this plan. These hogs, raised by a 4-H club boy, show their good breeding. There's profit in well-bred swine. Grade hogs like these, from native Razorback sows bred to good boars, are finding a ready sale on local markets. A neighborhood dairy demonstration made by a girls' 4-H club under the direction of the home demonstration agent. Clean milk is a prime objective, and county home demonstration agents cooperate with the women of their communities in making all possible improvements in sanitation in the handling of dairy products.
Communities working together.
In communities where such herds as this are the rule, a long step has been taken toward breaking the regime of fatback and sorghum under which pellagra has resulted and become a curse. In such neighborhoods, fresh and pure dairy products are available for all 3 times a day. An adequate family supply of dairy and poultry products, combined with vegetables and fruits from the home garden, helps to safeguard the family health. Clean, wholesome farm butter, good homemade cheese, and other dairy products find a ready market when a surplus in excess of family needs is produced. Occasionally, a farmer takes to dairying in a big way. Witness this big herd, which furnishes grade A milk to a thriving southern city. In the southern coastal plain, the woods are full of scrub cattle, the so-called piney woods breed. Negro extension workers there have inaugurated a Better Sires campaign, breeding for beef with purebred bulls. Here is one of their Aberdeen Angus community bulls. And here, grade cattle produced by crossing native cows with such bulls. There has been an increasing use of purebred bulls to improve the quality of beef for market and for foundation herds. A demonstration in approved methods of curing pork. Home canning and curing of the family meat supply saves cash. No outlay is needed for bringing home the bacon, where farmers are thrifty and follow approved meat curing and smoking methods.
See that? Hey, man, do you know? Listen. Could you imagine being like, you know what? I only need to go to Walmart for my cleaning supplies because I know Mr. Joe. I go get my meat from Mr. Joe. Mind you, better meat, cheaper meat, and you already know it's real because you can see the animals right there. I already got my meat squared away. I go get my meat from Mr. Joe. Miss Ann, she do all my bakery and all of that stuff. I don't need to go to Walmart. All I need to go to Walmart and then after a while, you don't need Walmart at all because then somebody black come up with new cleaning supplies. Oh, so that from over there, they got a new cleaning supply. We don't use Tide no more. Now we got a black owned detergent. You know what I'm saying? And it's all this is that and the third. That is how you get your economics back, bro. What y'all don't realize is it was already taken from us and we were punished to live as slaves as we have all of this time. We got an opportunity to get it back. We just got to go back to the drawing board to see how. Again, it's not going to look the same in 2026 as it did then, but the same core concepts still apply. Supply and demand. If you control the supply and demand, even like in the movie Sinners, when they were opening that juke joint, it was something that they didn't have anything of, and it was for us, by us. That is what they fear because they know that we won't no longer need them. That's what we need to get back to, and that's what we're going back to now.
House is a necessity on the southern farm, for what is home without a ham? This is a modern concrete smokehouse, but hams from the relatively inexpensive old-time farm smokehouse will smell just as sweet and stick just as close to the ribs as those from some more modern structure. The ham is what counts. The sorghum mill, an institution of long standing, plays an important part in the Live at Home campaign. The product of this home manufacturing plant is a staple that goes far toward reducing cash outlay for food, supplying a cheap sweet that has its place in maintaining the balance desired in the family diet. Furthermore, such a mill often yields sorghum or cane syrup for sale. Thus, the Live at Home program pays dividends, always in saving and sometimes in cash.
Wow. Did he say the Live at Home dividend pays in savings and sometimes in cash? Wow.
Home canning.
And you know what makes me mad? They got us thinking that we need the immigrants to farm. They got us thinking without the immigrants, America is doomed because what are we going to do? Nigga, we are the original farmers. What are you talking about?
Products is a fundamental feature of the Live at Home program. A well-filled pantry is not only the best insurance against sickness, but it saves money. A year's food supply for a family of 5 in this section may be worth several $100s. Since money saved is money made, the women and girls, through such activities as this, add to the farm family income and at the same time safeguard the family health. A well-constructed smokehouse such as this makes a good storage place for canned products in regions where there is no danger from freezing. These well-filled shelves show what the energetic housewife can do toward providing the family living. A canning demonstration under the supervision of a county home demonstration agent. On such occasions, the women of a community meet and do their work in common, using community equipment, while the agent supervises the work and gives instruction in approved methods of procedure where necessary. Here is a simple homemade canning outfit which is used in community canning where better equipment is not available. a neighborhood canning bee in which the home demonstration agent directs the work. This is typical of neighborhood group activity. And here's an exceptionally well-organized and productive community canning enterprise. Once each week during the summer season, the people of this community gather in this grove to can their products cooperatively. The women prepare the fruits, vegetables, or meat products for canning. The men cut the wood, keep the fire going in the furnace, and handle the heavy pressure cookers. And everybody has a grand time.
This looks so fun to me and so home. Like, I feel safe, and I ain't even in the picture. I just feel like if I'm on this land with these people, I don't have to worry about it. It just feels so good. I just want to be around people who think like this. I just really do. I need to surround myself with people who don't mind working hard and want what's best, man. I would take this over being in any club in any 2026 modern anything. I would take this any day.
Weekly community picnic that pays dividends in food put up for winter. Shuttered windows with no sash and no screen are the usual thing in the cabins of many of the poorer farmers. In cold weather, these shutters are kept closed. Doors are seldom screened. Thus, the first step toward providing better housing is to guard against disease, to screen out the malaria mosquito and the typhoid fly. This is a common type of backhouse. Typhoid flies have easy access here. The approved type of farmstead toilet is not expensive, but provides...
ATL Pink, you think like me. Because when I saw all them women working together, I said, ooh, now I wonder what happened when somebody was sleeping with somebody's husband. But I'm pretty positive you just fought and everybody went about their way. Because look, girl, it happens. We got things to do. Okay? One monkey ain't stopping no show. So I'm pretty positive because your mind think like mine. I saw them women. I said, bitch, I know it must have went down a few days on that there plantation, girl. At any rate, whatever it was, they obviously had a system to where everybody understood, girl, take care of that, leave that over there, but we got this going on. Whatever it was, they had a system to work it out because them women were still over there working, and I'm pretty positive somebody was sleeping with somebody's husband. I know how he is, you know.
Adequate protection from diseases carried by flies. After sanitation come other home improvements that make for comfort and self-respect. Many a cabin like this, built in the simple and pleasing traditional style of the region, has been made a home to be proud of by the application of a few cents worth of lime whitewash or even pipe clay that costs nothing, and the planting of a few native shrubs. Such improvements take labor, but little or no cash outlay, and the results are sometimes striking. Watch. Now we have an attractive though unpretentious farm home, screened, whitewashed, and landscaped at little expense. Such improvements make for wholesome pride in the home place. Indeed, beautification of the yard about the house has a significance that cannot be measured in dollars and cents. When the farm family takes pride in keeping the farmstead and lawn neat and attractive, we may reasonably conclude that the farm business is well managed. Where there is a beautiful and perhaps profitable flower garden, the field crops are likely to be good too. In the South, an outdoor bathroom is a possibility. We plug the drain pipe under the pump, the water is pumped directly into the bathtub, and we are ready for our daily bath. This is a cheap outfit, in line with the extension policy of making the most of things within your means. Of course, the modern pressure tank outfit is better, and many farmers are installing standard plumbing such as this. This girl is a 4-H Club state champion in dressmaking. All the garments seen here are her own handiwork.
Nah.
The knowledge and skill that these girls acquire in this work have a direct bearing on the family welfare.
My girl a designer. What's up? My girl a whole designer. From scratch. With the fingers and the needle and the thread, girl. Go ahead on, Faye. See, that'll be me. I don't know if I'll be designing no clothes or nothing, but I'll be somewhere in the beauty and fashion. Come on now, Fat. Let me get a dress. Come on now.
A successful cooperative curb market. Such activities as this represent the occasional commercial development that comes from the live-at-home movement. Some of these markets are quite profitable.
Who that is? Say got a whole sewing machine. Saf, is that your name? Baby, that's a sign. That's a sign, Saf, girl. Saf say I got a whole sewing machine I ain't using. There go your sign, Fat. I ain't telling you what to do, my love. All I'm telling you is for you to say I got a whole sewing machine I ain't using, and this young lady was just on here showing her pieces, that might be your sign, my love. I don't know. Who am I? I'm just saying. If I was you, I'd look into it, though.
A cotton gin, operated cooperatively by a group of Negro farmers under the supervision of their county agent. The building itself is not much to look at, but the machinery is in good shape and it does the work. The crowd gathering at a community fair that has become an annual event. Such fairs have...
Now, how that go? Now, how that go? Look what my girl Saf just said. Nah, boo, you right, because I'm a self-made designer. How that go? I keep telling y'all, I work with the ancestors, right? A lot of y'all ancestors bring y'all over here. I don't know for what. Okay? Y'all come over here for what? I don't know, but they sing y'all over here to get something. Okay? Saf, my girl, I'm telling you, this is a huge sign. Now, for you to come back and say you a whole self-made designer, there's nothing more to say, girl. That's your ancestors giving you the taps on the shoulder saying, get up and get to it. You see what I'm saying? They done sent you over here by me. We over here watching Educational Friday. This young lady from the 1900s got a whole line. And then I pointed out that, girl, somebody on here need to get their sewing machine. And here you come talking about you a whole designer. Girl, it's a sign, Fat. Go ahead on, get your stuff together. Make me a little piece when you become famous. Just one little piece. I don't need a lot. Just make me a little piece when you become famous, okay?
Both educational and social features, and as a rule, they are well attended. They give extension workers opportunity to discuss current farm problems with the farmers of the community and to take counsel with their local leaders. They also give the girls' 4-H clubs an opportunity to turn an honest penny through the sale of various articles to visitors. This is a rather nifty outfit. Anyway, it seems to suit us. Such community activities sometimes are conducted on a neighborhood scale. Witness this modest exhibit of farm products displayed in a country schoolhouse. Such exhibits stimulate interest and encourage farmers to enter into friendly competition in production. The Extension Service sponsors 4-H summer camps, in which short course instruction in agriculture and homemaking is given. These camps are held in slack seasons. Boys and girls from all parts of a state may meet in such a camp. The expense is small, and there is opportunity for study and profitable association. Here, boys learn the fine points of their profession. For example, a class in stock judging. The agent drives home the points to be considered in judging a dairy cow. Meanwhile, the girls take instruction from other specialists. Here we see a nurse giving instructions to a class of girls.
And you know what's crazy? They started this video making it seem like we just had the bare necessities and all that stuff. It looked like you had to pay money to be a part of this school. Look at how well dressed these young ladies is to be at this school. You gotta be able to read between the lines with his story. You gotta be able to read between the lines, because they started off this video with this old woman say she an African, and that basically they're gonna talk to us about how we barely made it with our agriculture, but we made it. But I'm looking at these young ladies here. This is giving Catholic school teas. This is giving tuition. You see what I'm saying? This is giving tuition teas. These ain't the regular schmegular girls working in the farms. This is giving your mama gotta be you. Your mama knows somebody. Your people know somebody to get you in this. You see, we gotta take away the black and white and start looking at the elements for what they are. But they will tell you, this is why it's important that you have to have your own discernment so you can read between the lines. They will posture it as if, oh my God, they were just, trying to make it. But then when you start paying attention, you're like, these girls don't look like no trying to make it girls. These girls look like they come from well-to-do families. And it don't look like they was doing no barter system to get in this school. You could look at the patches on the hats and the outfits and even the lady teaching them. Baby, you had to have a couple of dollars in your pocket. Yay! You either had to know somebody or I ain't say you had to be rich, but you either had to know somebody or you had to have a few dollars to ruffle around in your pocketbook. That's what it's giving. Mm-hmm.
Fundamental principles of first aid. Of course, after study hours, there is opportunity for plenty of fun. Recreation as well as study is carefully supervised. Last but not least among these extension activities are those of this movable school, operated jointly by the Extension Service and Tuskegee Institute to teach farming, homemaking, and hygiene. Here we see the school nurse giving treatment as a preventive against infantile paralysis.
And let's be clear, they will make it seem like we had to teach each other hygiene. That's a lie. If you remember, it's a white man who's giving us the commentary on this. We all know they're going to make it seem like we were just Neanderthals trying to figure it out. Honestly, I hear him, but I'm not really paying much attention to the white man. I'm going to be completely honest. Whenever I watch these documentaries, I do more listening with my eyes than my ears because I understand that what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is not going to match up. They want to make it match up, but I do more of the listening with my eyes. Meaning I'm going to hear what you're saying, but let me look at what I'm seeing. You see what I'm saying? And see if my eyes agree with what you're saying. And most of the time, they just don't.
Dr. Booker T. Washington taught that agriculture should be the fundamental pursuit of his race in America, and the Extension Service tries to help Negroes in their effort to achieve the objectives he so wisely laid down long ago. The Negro, he said, must begin at the bottom and lay a sure foundation and not be lured by any temptation to rise on a false foundation. Progress by any other method will be but temporary and superficial. Since the bulk of our people already have a foundation in agriculture,
what that nigga said? What he said? What Booker T said we need?
Extension Service tries to help Negroes in their effort to achieve the objectives he so wisely laid down long ago. The Negro, he said, must begin at the bottom and lay a sure foundation and not be lured by any temptation to rise on a false foundation. Progress by any other method.
I see what he's saying. He's basically saying that the black person needs to work for this shit. If you give it to him, and hear me out, I see what he's saying. He's saying that if a black person sees any way of a cheat code or a way to cheat the system, he's not going to understand the value of, I guess, getting it out the paint. I don't even think I'm doing it justice, but I understand what he's saying. It came off negative, but it's not negative. Basically, he's saying, give us the opportunity to make our way, and we're going to make our way. Don't try to give us no side deals, no under the table bullshit, because that all come with some bullshit. Just leave us alone and let us go with the move. That's what he's saying. I get it. I get what he's saying.
Will be but temporary and superficial. Since the bulk of our people already have a foundation in agriculture, they are at their best, living in the country, engaged in agricultural pursuits.
I see. I get it.
And again, he said, we shall prosper in proportion as we learn to dignify and glorify labor and put brains and skill into the common occupations of life.
I don't know about the music, but listen, somebody said how pretty our skin was and how thick our hair was because we ate better, we lived better, we just was better. We not eating this poison that they giving us. We grew our food, and even if we didn't physically grow it, the food was grown from somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But here we are today, you know. But ultimately, y'all, listen, this is the point. Grocery stores is what came up. That's what made me come on here. But then I realized you can open as many grocery stores as you want right now in 2026. If you still getting the same produce that everybody else getting, then what are you doing? The point is this: we got to get back to owning land. That is where we belong, in the land. We are the people of this land. You know how they say from ashes to ashes, dust to dust, or however it go? It's the same type of concept. It's literally us going back to the land. Like Booker T said, we don't need no handout from you. As a matter of fact, a handout is the worst thing you could give somebody like us. All we need is to be left alone and let us do our big one. And we going to rise to the top as we always do. Now, I'm not saying when it comes to things that the government owe us, we shouldn't get. We definitely should be reparated what the government owes. What I'm saying is though it's a handout. As far as, oh, you know, I really would like to have this, and then the government come and give you the loan. No, it kind of works better when you get it from the bottom. I tell my daughter this all the time. I used to tell her that you end up appreciating things more when you buy it or when you work for it and you use your blood, sweat, and tears. You appreciate it and you cherish it so much more. That's what it was Booker T was saying. Give us an opportunity to create our own opportunities, and we'll appreciate it more, and we'll be out y'all hell. Y'all go that way, we be over this way. But you know how it go. And this is why they can't leave us alone, because we are the culture. We are society. Without us, the world goes kaput. But we got to get back our grocery stores. But before we can get the grocery stores, we got to get back on the land. We got to get back to tending the land, farming, whatever it is we could do. And listen, it's not going to be like back then where you out there. We might have to sweat by the brow outside. That ain't going to kill us, no. We going to live. If we have to go outside and work a couple of hours, it ain't going to kill us. I know it sounds like a death sentence to most of us because we don't go nowhere. But if we work outside, it is not going to kill us. As a matter of fact, we might live longer. Because we lived much longer when we was tending to the fields. Way longer. Mama was 80, 90 years old, 100 years old, and still trucking, working in the fields. Now, Mama be 40, 50, and she be hollering, oh, girl, my bladder. Oh, girl, I gotta pee. I can't hold it. Bitch, we 40. What you mean you can't hold it? We 40. Huh? You can't hold it? Oh, girl, I got to take my vitamin D pills. Vitamin D pills? Bitch, we 35. What you mean? Oh, girl, you know I don't get no vitamin D a lot. So I went down to my doctor, girl, and I got to take my vitamin D. If I don't take my vitamin D, girl, my skin get the itching. Itching? Bitch, we 22. Hey, working outside may not be the worst thing that ever happened to niggas. Because when we went inside, we ended up dying. That's all I'm going to say. I don't mind working outside. I be outside every day anyway, so it won't bother me none. It's to these girls who feel like they just can't go outside. Girl, I'm an outside type of girl. So it won't bother me now. I'm just saying, though, think about it, though. The illnesses and the stuff that we have, girl, we young, bitch. Battling cancer. Girl, what? Huh? Maybe going outside ain't the worst thing, but we got to get our grocery stores back, y'all. Yup, no vaccines then. We got to get our grocery stores back, and we going to get them back. Thank you, Juanita, for becoming a new member. I appreciate you, beautiful. Thank you. We're going to get our grocery stores back. But before we do that, we got to get the land. Now, y'all, I hope y'all had a wonderful Educational Friday. I got to go and I gotta cook. That's what I need to do. I gotta cook. I think I'm gonna make me some spaghetti. But with that being said, I'm gonna get up off of here. I love y'all. Happy Educational Friday once again. I will see y'all on the next one. Love y'all. Peace.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. We live, baby. Come on. That's right. Okay. Can you hear me now? Oh, let's go. It's your boy Big Chew, the voice of the beat. You know what I want? Blaze up. Come on, Blaze up.
It's the beat for me.
Wow, 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 for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Drop it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Do it for your guy, for your B-O-Y. Come on, baby, we are. For your boy. For your boy. Hustle for your boy. Fix it for your boy. Drop it for your, drop it for your wow, 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 lift it up, then it bust it open, lift it up, yeah. Come on, lift it up, then it bust it open for your B-O-Y. For your rockin' for your lift it up, baby. Mix it with your bustin' up. Come on, Blaze, you know. Drop me a nasty beat.
Mr. Carroll, how you give the voodoo doll time to talk? I don't get no fucking time to talk.
Who the voodoo doll is?
The nigga you just had up here.